You know, some people are doing right now Blender geometry nodes, and I reached my peak with this. Well, it's a lovely, beautiful animation. Well, I got a request from Thor, so thank you Thor for that. You being a great supporter for this little channel. And Thor requested or asked me if I could make a video on how to add sounds that match the animation. And so today's video is about that. This is a very interesting topic, which I'm sure I'm gonna make more in the future about this thing, because I like adding music and other stuff and adjusting animations and light flashes and so on to the sound, because this is something I just enjoy. I love music and stuff. But today's video is focusing on the simple on the principle on how to do it as simple as possible, because it always does start with being very simple, and then later on you can do complex scenes with that. And speaking of complex scenes, I prepared something. Here we go. Do not freak out. We are not gonna work on this scene. I'm just gonna show you what you can do, because the principle is still the same here. So in this scene you will see that Paul, my current project, which I'm still working on, it's a work in progress, he gets his headset, and then you will hear a headset connecting sound, which is created with my DVD-ROM of my current PC, which I'm using right now. I grabbed this audio or recorded this audio sound with Audacity, which is an open source audio editing program. It's pretty cool, so check that out too. We're gonna talk about this in the end if I don't forget. Yeah, just listen to that quickly. So you see the animation here, and at this point at least, it's work in progress again, fits pretty well to the sound, and that's, you know, what you can do when you understand the principle. It's very simple, and later on you can do complex stuff with it. There's even more to this. There's so much things, F curves and stuff. You know, Blender as usual is a very, well, you can do a lot of that, a lot of things with that. Okay, but we are taking it easy. So let's get started. First thing we're gonna do is we hiding the scene here. So you don't have to pay attention to this one. This is for me. You can ignore collection 2 completely. You don't need that. Let's just set up everything so that it looks like a little bit like when you start Blender. So if you also like this, and yeah, if you start Blender greets you approximately like that, right? Correct? And then you have, when we pay attention to the upper side of the screen, you have layout and some other tabs here and there. I deleted them already so that it's cleaner. You can delete stuff. Let's just add something general. Another layout. So you can delete stuff when you just right click and say delete, and oops, this was too fast. And if you click on the plus icon, which you have to do because you don't have the window which we're gonna need later on, you can click on the little plus symbol or icon and then say video editing, and then again video editing, and this window will appear, which we're gonna do in the next scene. You can, well, let's talk about this later. So we're gonna do first the little animation. For that we need to animate the cube. So let's bring the cube first up on the Z-axis. Press N on your keyboard so that this window will open, or alternatively you can click on this little arrow here in this area. If you do that, this will appear, and now you see the cube is selected with left click, and we're gonna change the position of the cube on the Z-axis. So we're gonna say, you know, we're just gonna put this in 5 meters. Sounds about right. Let me just drag this here, make this a little bit bigger. You can do this the same thing if you hover over the edges of different windows with your mouse. Okay, yeah, so the cube is now at 5 meter, and when we press I, we created our very first keyframe. You can navigate in this timeline by hovering with your mouse in the timeline and pressing the mouse wheel button. So that's pretty simple, you know, using that here. Yeah. Okay, so far so good. And then let's jump to frame 10 and say the animation shall at frame 10 at frame 10 the cubes shall be at position 1 meter. Yeah, that's okay. So if you play the animation now, you see the cube is falling down, and that is pretty awesome. That's all we need for now. We are adding another plane. This is optional, you can do that or not. I just like it better, so let's do that. It's for the visual impact. I like it, but it's optional. Okay, adding a plane, Shift A, and then say plane, and now we go press S and scaling it like oops, like that. Or alternatively, you can scale it here too. Let's say we're gonna give it like 10 meters here, 10 meters there. Just paste it in, and 10 meters on the Z-axis. Although it doesn't make any sense since it's a two-dimensional object, it will not have any Z value, but I just like, you know, it looks nicer to me. Okay, so far so good. Let's play the animation again. Cube is falling down. Great job, cube. I'm gonna go into this menu since I want to give it some colors. Again, this is optional. You can do it or not. It's up to you. I just like that. Let's give it some Blender colors here, like that. I think that looks nice, and we're gonna save our project here. Look at that. Great, looks good, right? Okay, we're gonna shorten the timeline a little bit, also optional. The reason for that is I want to have a little loop, so you know that I can see that I don't have to press all the time play or something. You know, it just repeats itself endlessly. But that's kind of cool. Okay, now let's, if you did this again, click on the, if you don't have the video editing tab, you click on the plus icon, you scroll down to video editing, and then you say video editing, you know, again, it's weird, but that's what it is. Click on it, and then it will greet you kind of like that. You will have your files here, and here is another timeline. So the dark area is right now, well, this is basically the timelines. Yeah, think of this one here, the sequencer. Think of this one like a movie maker. If you know that, you know, this is basically it. So here you could drop either MP3, a WAV, a PNG, a video, a home video, a phone video, and then you could edit the video if you want. But we are using this time this sequencer only for MP3 or audio files. Doesn't have to be MP3 by any means. It can be whatever you prefer. Yeah, but I would like to have another window. You know, this is, you know, it's just practical. So we're gonna drag, hover with our mouse over this edge here, left click, and then we're gonna make this a little bit bigger. And I'm adjusting it just so that it looks approximately the same. It's just cleaner, right? So those things are the same. If I change here the frames, you can see both lines lining up kind of, and yeah. Okay, now you see here you have the file. In my case, it's you know, that's how I record stuff, and I name it always wrong, and I think my brain is not able to write. It's okay though. So here we have a metal sound which I recorded with Audacity. Don't know what I recorded in this case, but we can just drag and drop it here, and it will magically disappear. That's great. No, this is not. Let me just do this again. Well, it shouldn't happen. Let me just press one key. Okay. So sometimes you are being, out of where you drag and drop something into this window, and if you do not know where it is, you can either press the position 1 key, or it could be on your keyboard the home key, or if you do have a laptop, I believe you have to the short key for this key, which you don't have on a laptop, shall be if you press the Fn key. Now I need to look this up. Hold on a second. Maybe I can do it while I'm talking with you, Just quickly, I prepared this actually, but it's gone. No, it's gone. Wait, no, here it is. So if you do not have a position 1 key or a home key because you are using a laptop, then you can alternatively press on the laptop the Fn key plus Control plus left arrow on your laptop. And then if you do that, let's do this again, you have to hover with your mouse over this window or that window and press position 1 or home key. Voila, and then it brings you to the position where the fun is actually happening, where something is happening. I would say like that. Okay, this one we can delete. This is from the, we don't have to delete that. No, let's delete it because it might confuse you. Okay, let's delete everything which could be confusing to you. So again, back to, we opened just the video editing. Left side here, your documents, and here is the timeline. So first thing we need to do is we're gonna need to change this window here. Let's change it to the 3D viewport. So we're gonna click on this icon, 3D viewport, and we're gonna zoom out a little bit. Yeah, here we go. This is a 3D viewport which we need to see since we wanna adjust the audio file to our little animation. Okay, so in my case, my audio file is metal, but you can add whatever you want. You can record whatever you want. You can use mouth sounds, beatbox if you feel like that. I would like to do that someday. And then you're gonna drag this thing here, there, for example. And now let's, you saw here's our audio file. And when we go to the right side, you can see this is the name. This is the volume of our current file. This is the pitch, the higher. You can make it the higher voice, deeper voice, mono. You probably know what that means. And this one might be important for animations, is a display waveform. If you do that, you see here our file got actually now you can now see when the sound is being louder or quieter, which is cool, right? There's some more stuff. You can check this out for yourself, but this is nothing we need right now. Another thing is we have like here 24 frames. So I would recommend, and that's very important actually, if you have a shitty headset, like, I mean, some of my headsets are shitty. I have like Bluetooth headsets. They are all not really good for gaming or for animation because Bluetooth headsets, at least the cheap ones, they have a high latency, and that can be stupid to use, because if your headset has a high latency, then you being out of sync later on, which maybe it's not a problem because a lot of people using these headsets too, and they have, anyway, just saying that's something you should consider. It's not so bad. They're getting better and better, and so on, but I had some problems with that, so I wanted to mention that. Okay, make sure you have a good headset. Later on, I just mentioned this right now because I may forget this. If you have later on a scene where there's a lot of things happening, it could happen that when you play the animation that it's out of sync because you're not matching the FPS. So speaking, let's put it in simple terms. If your PC is too slow to show the animation in real time, and you fall below the 24 FPS or whatever FPS you have set up, it'll be out of sync. So consider that you have always to hit this frame rate, otherwise you will not be in sync. Right now it's not a problem at all. Just keep it in mind. Okay, if it's confusing you, let it go. It's not, you know, don't be overwhelmed. This is stuff which you will understand sooner or later anyways. Okay, good. Back to the action. We have an animation. Let's play it again. Great. So it's falling down, and here's our sound, right? So when the cube is falling down, it sounds okay, right? Yeah, it sounds kind of okay already. It was a bit surprising. I thought I had to adjust it a little bit. Let's do that, because sometimes you have to, you know. So let's just say it's not, in this case it was just, you know, you have to see that, I think. So let's play, and you see it doesn't fit, right? Okay, you have to make sure that the sound actually hits when the animation, you know, it's a feeling thing. I mean, you know, the cube falls down, it should make a sound when it falls down. Okay, looks good so far. Only that when this happens, he should bounce a little bit in the audio file at least. You know, this is a feeling thing. So you will always, sometimes you want to adjust some things. So, in this case, because it kind of bounces here, you can see that actually here a little bit. Here you have the impact, so bam, it's falling down, although actually it should be here, I think. Let's see how this sounds. So is. See, it doesn't. Yeah. A little bit closer. Let's just... Okay, now I'm paying a lot of attention to that. Later on, if you have like bigger scenes and more stuff is going on, don't get too crazy about it. Let's just make sure it feels right. You know, it doesn't have to be exactly like this, doesn't have to be exactly matching this line or something. This is something I never do. Usually I go with feeling. I listen to the music, I see if it, you know, it looks about right, and so on. So don't get too crazy about this. Only right now we do because for showing purposes. Okay, so here he is hitting, and it is okay. And then there are a little bit more sounds, but the cube is not doing anything. So I would say we need another keyframe. And here I cannot see the keyframe. See? So we're gonna press the home button, or home key, or position 1 key. Or the other thing I mentioned earlier. And then if we see where our stuff is happening, always hover with the mouse over those windows and then press those keys. So here are our keys. So let him bounce a little bit. So we open this window here, there's a little arrow, or alternatively press N, and now we're gonna go up just a little bit. This is a feeling thing, you know, this is a good value. Probably, no, we wanna use that because it's so inaccurate. So, okay, now play the animation again. Good, he's bouncing here a little bit, and he has to come down again. On this position he is down. That means we can just select this keyframe and Shift D duplicate this keyframe and bring it up here. And now we're gonna check out how this sounds. Looks good, I think. Yeah. Maybe it was even a little bit too high here. So we can make sure that you are exactly at this position. And now we're gonna decrease the height a little bit, and we're gonna override this by we are exactly at this position. This is selected, you can ignore that. So exactly at this position, it says that actually here. I'm gonna press I, and let's play it again. Yeah, I think I'm happy with that. And this is basically the principle. This is how you adjust any kind of sound. You just have to, I mean, to me at least, you have to kind of feel it in some ways. If you do, if you want to have like a bass response, like you have an audio file, and you want just have him, I mean, what I'm trying to say is there is a way with an F curve that you can automatically let any kind of animation respond to some frequencies in the audio file. So that's possible. Something I have to look into myself. I know the principle, but when it comes to details, adjusting it, it's also a little bit overwhelming. But this is possible, so you can Google for that if you're interested in that. But for today, I think we are good. This is I think this is all. I would like to address some things though. So I wrote down some stuff. First of all, the frame rate is very important. Yeah, that's for sure. So always make sure that your frame rate is kind of hitting this thing here. Not 100%. You see sometimes when I study animation, it's kind of being red for a second, but overall it looks fine. But you will realize here and there if you have complexer scenes. Let me just show you this here. This is a good example actually. If I do that in here, now pay attention to the FPS here. So sometimes it actually fits. I wanna taste the pain. I think I'm seeing all red. I can guarantee he is out of sync. If I play this from the beginning, then it will not. I hope. See, it was just a little bit of a delay. A little bit was off in this scene, and sometimes you wonder what's going on. The reason is really you have to have a constant FPS, otherwise it's hard to determine when, or it's hard to adjust the audio sound to your animation. And so in this case, the solution is simple. I would just go to this view, and so I would in this view the performance is much better. So I can just I can just play the whole animation and everything will be in sync because the FPS is always matching what we set up earlier. So that's good. Yeah, you have to make sure the FPS works and you can experiment with that. So keep that in mind. The next thing, as you can see, here's a great soundtrack actually. Speaking about sounds, there are so many ways to get some sounds, and when you wanna release videos on YouTube or something and you wanna use music, the best way known to me right now is still YouTube themselves. So even if you let's just say a good way is to get to get free music sources is creating a YouTube account and creating a YouTube channel. Although you don't have to upload anything, but if you do that, if you create a YouTube channel, you will automatically get access to a lot of audio, sounds, and music for free, and you can use it for YouTube for sure. I do not know if you can use it for other social media platforms. I really don't know, but for YouTube you can use it for sure, and you have there a good source where you can, you get some music, audio files, and you're not getting in trouble, so that's good. The next thing is Audacity, a program which I would recommend to use. If you Google for Audacity, which is, let me just, it's written like this one here, this is Audacity. If you Google for that, make sure it's the right website. I think I've heard something like just don't always click on the first result when you Google something. Make sure it is really the original website. A good way to check that is actually Wikipedia, to see what is the real website, but always be careful about stuff like this. So, but this program is a nice and handy tool which you can use to record your stuff. And if you need a sound file, I don't know, a glass breaking down, then you can actually smash a glass, record this with this program, and then save it as MP3. Although for MP3 you have to install a DLL, that you have to research yourself, but you can save it as a WAV or something like that. So it's still a good, you can use it for that. Yeah, what else do I have? Audacity. Okay, so this is the second part of the video, very hard cut because it's a few days later for me, and I would like to add some more information and hints and tips, and also I would like to show you at the end of the video how to set up your render so that your animation also carries the sound file when you play it later with an you know, VLC media player or any kind of media player. Okay, let's get to it. So first things, I would like to start with some tips. So when you see here the sequencer, and it might look a little bit different because it's a new day again. So let's make it like this. So let's focus on the sequencer. Yeah, the sequencer basically follows the same rules which are applied in the 3D viewport. By that I mean, when we select a cube, for example, and we press Shift D, we can duplicate a cube. That we know already, but the same thing we can do here too. So if we go to our MP3, Metal MP3, selecting Metal MP3 and pressing Shift D, then we're duplicating, you know, our MP3. So that's the same thing. Another thing which I think is incredibly good is usually I never really use this this window here. You can see in the upper left hand corner to drag and drop my files. Usually I just drag and drop them from my Windows folder. In this case I'm gonna go ahead and drag my Wilhelm Tell MP3. I grabbed this from YouTube. So again, music and sounds you can get from YouTube for free, and you're gonna be pretty safe with that if you're using that for YouTube at least. So I just dragged and dropped that into this timeline here. And do I record actually? Yeah, that's good. And now you can see our music file is extremely long. So let's talk about first about a sequencer again. A good way to determine how long your frames actually are is when we go, here is our frame bar, frame timeline basically. So let's say frame 250 is about approximately 10 seconds, or maybe exactly. I don't know what it plus 10 means, but you know, here you can see how long your frames actually are. I think this is a thing which sometimes rises. Yeah, you know, sometimes the question arises, how long is my animation actually? But you know, this is something I wanted to mention. Okay, maybe depending on the frame rate you're using, this might differ, but I'm also not so certain about that. Anyway, that's just besides. So you can drag and drop your MP3s, PNGs, video files into the sequencer here, into this file. Now you see that the MP3 is longer than our you know, gray area, which we you know, I stuck a little bit. It's too long. It's too long, and so we want to adjust our sequencer to the MP3. It could also work with a video, and the way to do it is pretty simple. So we're gonna select our MP3, in this case Wilhelm Tell, and then we go to the view, and then we go down to range, and then we go to set frame range to strips. To me, this is a weird sentence, very hard to remember, don't know what it actually says. I guess this is a strip, but when we do that, left click, then we apply, you know, our sequencer, you know, the length of the sequencer to our MP3. So I think that's good because we need that. Let's say our MP3 is too long. And this is a very long MP3, so there are ways to shorten that. First of all, you can go to the right side or to the left side, one of these, and then you can drag this, you know, holding your left mouse key, and you can drag this left or right and shorten it. This is in this way you're kind of cutting your MP3 or video or PNG, whatever you want to cut here. The alternative will be the K key. So we just, you know, we can also cut stuff like going to this position to 541, pressing the K key, and now we selecting the rest of the MP3 and pressing X for deleting it, and it's gone. So that's good. And what else you can do is, here I forgot to show the audio line, the display waveform. I think this is the accurate name. Why not saying that? So let's turn this on. Sometimes this might take some time because, you know, I think sometimes. Now we see actually this is currently a current MP3. Let's just play it for a second. I hope it's not too loud. I hope you can hear that. Yeah, so this is very. So this is a very silent part of the music here. Here it should be louder. Okay, so that's good. Let's say we wanna just have this area here, and then we're gonna hover. You know, we go to this position, selecting this part, pressing K. I'm gonna delete the first part of it, and this I'm also gonna delete because I want to show you something. So sometimes you would like to have a fade out, right? A fade out basically means for audio files that something is, you know, a music file is being played, and then you want to have it, you know, making it silent, but very slow, because it's just nicer for the ears. So let's do that. So let's say we're gonna play this animation here now. And here it cuts very hard, like in my second part of the video. So in order to make this a little bit nicer, you would just select this MP3, always select it. If you wonder why the window is not here, you haven't selected the MP3. So, and then you're making some, you're using keyframes again. So hover with your mouse over the volume, volume value, and press I key. So now we have our first keyframe set. Can we see that in here if we hover with our mouse and pressing the home key? Yes. So press the home key to see the frame here. And very important, select this thing here too. And then we go ahead and say, at this point, the soundtrack shall be completely silent. So we're gonna go here and, you know, either we're gonna press left mouse button and say louder left and right, or we just put, say here, the volume should be 0. So that's good. Return, and then we're gonna adjust and insert a new keyframe. Okay, pressing I, and now we have 2 keyframes. You can see, zoop. And you see how, when we zoom here in, how the soundtrack now is going to get quieter until the point where it's completely off. It doesn't have to be completely off, it's just a way to do it. Let's play this. Okay, and this is how you make a fade out. It is not necessary for this video, but then it kind of is. Sometimes you would like to fade out your animations, and also with the pitch I do a lot. Sometimes it helps if you want. Well, sometimes you need to adjust mechanical sounds with the pitch. It kind of works with my robot, for example, but I'm not gonna go into that. It would just be too much for this video. So this is the way how to fade out. The same principle applies for visual things. So if you would do that with a video, then it would just turn black for where it's 0 basically. So it's the same principle. Okay, so this I wanted to show. I thought it was very important. Then let me just check my list. H for hiding stuff. Ah, yeah, sure. To say again, when you press select your cube, you're pressing H, you can hide your cube. Alt, left Alt, and plus H, you unhide stuff. Same thing applies here. So if I select my MP3, press H, it darkens a little bit, or grays now, and now it's silent. So that's pretty handy. You know, the same way to unhide this to make it audible again will be left Alt and pressing H, and here we go. It's on again if you want. So this is how you actually can silence whole areas of your timeline. Yeah, although I think there is even more to that. I'm using the Blender video editing meanwhile too, also for this tutorial. So I'm also still learn those stuff. Yeah, so keep that in mind. Good. Next thing is let's see, set up the render. Yeah, this is gonna do again video. What did I wrote here? Video higher will just render. What the heck does this mean? I don't know. Ah, yeah, I know. Sometimes if you have here, anyway, doesn't really matter. So just follow the tutorial and it's okay. Drag and drop the sound, cutting the timeline. Yeah, so yeah. If you, okay, let's just say if you put here a video, a video file into the sequencer, it works, no problem, you know. Then you will have here your video when you didn't change anything, when you just say plus and you say video editing and then video editing, then the video will be rendered. If you do not want the video to be rendered but only the audio file, then you have to delete the video file, which will be presented in a blue color, and you can just use the audio. So this would work too. It's just an additional tip, but you can ignore that if this confuses you. It's not really so necessary. Now I believe we covered everything. There is one major thing which is important, otherwise when you render your scene you will not have any sounds, and then you will be sorry if it's a longer audio thing. You know, since I always render stuff with Eve, there is a way. Let's say, I just want to mention it, but you can ignore that. If you're using Blender realistically with the cycle render, cycles render, then you're probably not gonna render your stuff as a movie, as a video file, but as PNG files. But you can still use the sequencer to adjust your audio files to your animation and save then a long audio file as an audio file, and putting your cycle render later together with a finished audio file. I hope you know what I mean. If not, ignore it. If you know if you do what I just said, I think you know what I mean. And if it confuses you, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. Okay, let's get to it. Last and very important point will be setting up the animation. So let's do that here. Let's just see, where is my oh, it's here. It's just very small. Yeah, sure, that makes sense. That makes sense. Here we go. So this is our animation. I'm gonna just set up everything. We did this already, so I'm not gonna go into that too deeply. Where am I? 20. Does this make sense? Yeah. So okay, let's say you are happy with your awesome animation, and then you would like to render that because this is, you know, the final goal. Then you have to go into, I'm gonna make this a little bit smaller. So then you have to go into this window here. What is it called? Output properties. I see. Output properties, and then you would set up, here is your output. It's right now in the temp folder. I always use my desktop folder, so I changed this to you know, put it out on my desktop because I like it, but you can put it out wherever you want. Important is that you change the file format from JPEG, you know, the JPG. Anyway, from this format to I always use that. It might not be the best thing in the world, but it works for me, for my stuff. So I'm always gonna I always use that FFmpeg video file, and then I go to encoding, and I think I'm good with this thing here. I'm not sure, do I change that sometimes? I'm a little bit crazy right now. It doesn't matter. You can experiment with those things for yourself. You can use MP4. I think it's gonna be fine. But the default value, I think, is also fine. I think I always leave it like that. Also the output quality. Well, let's just say it's an Eve animation and it's in 1080p. Medium is fine for YouTube. I tell you why, because YouTube always decreases the quality of your video anyway. So even if this is a super nice quality, if you have a small channel, YouTube gives a damn, and I mean, understandable. So that's okay. It might be different than when you use 4K, I guess. But let's just say you are a guy like me, you just have fun with those things, it's not a commercial, that's okay, you can just leave it like that. Important is, you see here, no audio. That is so sad, because I always, at the beginning, made a mistake that I all keep forgetting. You know, I rendered my long animation as a video file, and then I played it and realized, oh no, no audio. You can edit later on, but it's kind of annoying. You don't, you know, you don't want to do that. Okay, then you changing the audio codec from no audio to, I would recommend AAC. There is MP3, which I used in the beginning. I had some weird sound glitches with MP3, so since then I'm always using this format, AAC, and I'm pretty happy with that. So I never really encountered any major problems. And then, congratulations, you are finally done. You can go to render and say render your render animation, and then you go, you know, having a blast, you know, do whatever you want, and when you come back, your video is finished with your with your audio files and so on. Okay, I think we covered everything, so that's the end of this tutorial. Yeah, thanks for watching. I believe I'm gonna record another little video, because I learned 2 things which are incredible, and I'm using them from now on, and I'm very happy about this. So it will be a very short video. We're gonna record this next week, I believe. Yeah, that's about it. So let me know what I can do better, then yeah, that's about it. We're always bad with saying goodbye. So thanks for the recommendation and yeah, guys, have a nice day. Bye bye.